So let's get into how do we import drawing files into the SketchUp model. I've opened a new file. You go into File, Import, and I'm using this project here. It doesn't matter in which sequence you're importing these files, but I typically start with the ground floor plan, click Import and close. So what happens here is we've got the ground floor plan aligned with the axes, which is very helpful. And sometimes when you get drawings that are aligned with the actual site, I do recommend that you move the floor plans into alignment with the existing axes and adjust the geographic alignment later on when the model is completed, because it's much easier to draw this way. There are ways to change the axes inside the building model, but it makes it a bit more complicated. If you want to know how to do that, I can do a separate video on it. But here I just want to show you the easiest way to do this. So now we've got this drawing here in our SketchUp file, and I want to put these drawings into tags and folders. So it's organized through the model as it progresses, and you can also switch these on and off without having interference with the model. Typically these drawings, they come as a group already, so you don't have to group them separately. If you have very complicated drawings with a lot of drawing elements that you might not need, like gravel or stone or surfaces, finishes in the building, I do recommend that you open the group by double clicking. So you can always see these sort of boxes here with the dotted lines around it. That means that you can actually go into the group and work on the items inside here. And then you can highlight these areas that create a larger file and maybe simplify them, because it makes it easier for the software to calculate it later on if the model isn't as complicated. So in order to create our tags, I create a folder. I typically just call it the drawing folder. And then within the drawing folder, I create a subfolder, which I want to name the name of this drawing file. So in order to do that, I highlight the drawing file and it shows me the actual name of the file. So particularly in passive house projects where you need to track and trace everything back together to architectural drawings, it's handy to refer to the same drawings. So I highlight this, I copy it, and then I'll rename this tag exactly that name. Now it created the tag with the exact name here, so I'll throw it into that tag. And now this drawing is in this tag. Now you always get the architectural names on these files, which you don't necessarily need for your model, and they might just crowd your tag folders. So what you can do here is you highlight all the names and the tags that you don't really need, and you go to delete and just assign these into the untagged folder. So this way you're not deleting any elements from the drawing, but you're keeping your tag folders tidy. And now you're basically repeating the process with all the other components. So now that we've got all of our drawings in here, see they're all still piled on top of each other. So we can pick one elevation in the ground floor, for example. Here we've got the north elevation, and they're all still flat on the ground. So we are going to use the rotate tool, which is this tool here. And we're going to rotate the drawing. First, we're rotating it upwards. So in this case, we need to select the red axis. So select the starting point, and you can select an end point up here on the green axis ideally. And you can manually pull it up, and it typically snaps to the 90-degree axis, but if you're not sure, you just enter 90 and click enter. And we have to take a quick look where the drawing is going, but I'm pretty sure that this is, yeah, the other way around. So it's handy to have the actual building drawings at hand, so you know which way you need to rotate this around the building, because it's not always clear. So we're going to use the rotate tool again. This time we're using the blue orientation, and turn this around 180 degrees. And then from here I use the move tool and just select a corner here and sort of just put it on the corner here, and then I start aligning these drawings from here. So in principle these should align. I know they don't always do that, but you can use window detailing as a reference. For example, now we've got this aligned on the outer line here, but we could check if this window aligns with this here by clicking again with the move tool onto our reference corner here. You can see this is sort of an approximate frame thickness and or installation details, so you might have to use some reference drawings to align these as best as you can. Now let's have a look. I am assuming that this is the edge of the window here, and this is some outer detailing here because the widths do not quite align. Now this is just moving it on the red axis, so I'll tie it to the red axis with my arrow tools, and let's have a look whether that aligns. So it's not quite exact. We can have a look at these, for example. So these windows are typically a bit more recessed. There's a little porch here. We can have a look at how these fit into the drawing. So if we align those, how they would fit in here. Do they align? No, they don't quite align. Okay, let's go with the external wall dimensions then. Where the floor meets the floor, that seems to be the right dimension here, and we'll worry about those windows later. Yeah, so this can happen, so you don't need to get too upset about these things. You can manually adjust the model later on if the drawings don't align perfectly. Okay, and when you're finished, that's what your model drawings should look like. You can obviously build your model step by step around the plans and align these drawings as you go, but this is a good start, and then you can basically take all these drawings and switch them off and start with your building model.